Mommy, don't be sad.
That's what she said to me one day, out of the blue. So I asked her, what's wrong?
A man you really, really loved just died. His heart came a long way to say goodbye. But he couldn't stay because he had to return to the planet.
What's up, FailroAders? I'm Joshua Thomas, you're watching the FailroadExpress, and I finally finished reading Traces of Two Pasts, and specifically Traces of Aerith. Now there's also a Picturing the Past section which goes along with Aerith's story, and I'll get into that in a little bit as well. So to give you a little bit of history, I did read Traces of Aerith a little over a year ago. It was a fan translation, and I gotta say that I enjoyed the book version more. I remember reading the fan translation and noticing a few things that were overly repeated, almost as though the fan translation wasn't quite sure how to translate the Japanese into English, which, don't get me wrong, the fan translation was still amazing, and whoever did it did an amazing job with what they were able to translate. But the book version, the official translation, felt much more complete. And after having read the entire book, I still have to say that Tifa's story is still my favorite of the three stories in this book, but I still enjoyed Aerith's, and even though I'd read it before, it was good to read it again, and it was even more exciting to read the companion that came along with it, which was the Picturing the Past, which was about the boy who played with Aerith when she was in the Shinra building as a young girl. So the things that I enjoyed the most about Aerith's story was, of course, seeing her escape from the Shinra building, and then also witnessing some of her special abilities and seeing just, an expanded version of what we see in the game, of her ending up at the Sector 5 station and Elmyra finding her and her mother and that kind of stuff. And I will say, I think part of the reason I enjoyed Tifa's version more is because we got more of her in her more teenage years, and it just felt like, it was intertwined with more of the main characters, more so than Aerith's story. Also, with Aerith's story, we also dealt with her being a child much of the time, which at certain points, it was like, hey, this kid's trying to be a kid and play with other kids, and don't get me wrong, it was still wonderful to see the struggle that she had to go through. And I would say that of the two girls, they both had what I would consider to be kind of equal but different struggles. Whereas Aerith had to deal with the pretty much torture that she and her mother went through, and then the passing of her mother, and then just having to understand that she was different from everyone else, and in some cases was almost, in trouble or looked down upon for those differences, and also even kind of feared herself in many situations. I also enjoyed the very end of it, where Aerith learned of all the turmoil that she kind of caused in Sector 5 and the safe zone, the Turks watching over her, and that kind of thing. Seeing Faz's story also was interesting, and I gotta say that it really makes me appreciate more so how bubbly of a character that she is, having seen all of this that she's gone through. And then watching or reading the Picturing the Past was extremely interesting. It took place 15 years later, after her escape, and it was about the boy who had now become a Shinra trooper and was flying around the world trying to figure out the mystery of where this scientist had gone, who was in charge of escorting Aerith's mother back and forth, and keeping track of who entered and exited the research area. He got to know him when he was a boy, and his mysterious disappearance was sort of the circle of this main story, and it all leads around to him realizing, it was really Aerith that I was searching for, and spoiler alert, in the end, he actually does run into her in Sector 8 while she's selling flowers. So, really good. Once again, I highly recommend reading Traces of Two Pasts and actually getting the book if you haven't already gotten it. And yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. It is just an expansion of the universe that has been created for Final Fantasy VII. And I think, once again, my favorite parts are the parts that more directly intertwined with the video game itself, and the other parts where we learn about the workers and Elmyra's job. Those areas felt slower to me. I was less interested in them, even though, okay, it was neat to find these little tidbits out and to learn about these little extra things going on in Sector 5. Also to learn about Biggs's origins, although I don't know that we ever technically heard about Wedge in here. But learning, Biggs lived at the Leaf House before eventually running the place. So yeah, that's my review of Traces of Aerith. Once again, thoroughly enjoyed it, and I hope that you will like and subscribe to this channel and check out more of my Final Fantasy VII content. Thanks for watching. Check you guys next time.